Hey there, everybody. It's Bryan again. Thanks for joining me on There You Go. Today we're in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We are out and about again, and it's gray and gloomy, but it doesn't matter because we're going into the Gerald Ford Museum. And there's a whole lot more here than just stuff about Gerald Ford. Let's go check it out and see what they got. Betty's here to meet us. Say they have more than just stuff about Gerald Ford here? Pretty cool. I think I just found my next Halloween costume. Interesting. I don't know exactly why this is in the entryway to the museum, but I guess it's all about absolute fearlessness by in memory of George North Reynolds. So, I can't believe this, but they've actually got his baby clothes here? This is wild. I wouldn't even know where my baby clothes are. Gerald Ford, born on July 14th, 1913, was originally named Leslie Lynch King Jr. Interesting. I guess his family ran a paint company. Ford Paints and Varnishes. Looks like a real tough guy there. He was on the swim team, but not too happy about it. This is kind of wild. They have his football uniform here with that old leather helmet, but it says here that 737 people cast votes to put together an all-star team from Michigan to play the Chicago Bears, and they went and played them. They lost 5-0, but they did play the Bears. It's pretty wild. This would have been him right about that time. Again, pretty tough-looking dude. He got offered a position with the Green Bay Packers, but turned it down so he could go to Yale. And then he finished up at Yale studying law. And 1941 came along and he joined up to the military to go off to World War II. After Pearl Harbor, Gerald Ford joined the Navy. This is kind of cool. They have his lighter. That on the left there is his ID bracelet, and then his dog tags. He was assigned to the USS Monterey. After he got out of the Navy, he came back to Michigan and ran for Congress. And they've got his desk here. That's kind of cool. I'd like to know what's inside those drawers. So everybody knows that Gerald Ford married his wife Betty. This is kind of cool. I never knew this about her though. She was kind of the artistic type and actually was a dancer. Born Elizabeth Bloomer, Betty Ford grew up in Grand Rapids where she attended Central High School, worked as a model, and studied and taught dance. Her interest in modern dance took her first to Bennington School of Dance in Vermont, followed by the Martha Graham School in New York. Pretty cool. She met Gerald Ford in 1947. I think he likes her. Oh, 1948 they got married. After she got married, she wore this dress back to Ann Arbor. Quite stylish. Still got a nice head of hair. And some groovy Argyle socks. They had a bunch more kids. He met this guy right there. Make a long story short, I'm sure you already know, when this guy became president, he brought this guy along as his vice president. And then when this guy got fired, Jerry took over. Well, that pretty much says it all, I suppose. It's kind of interesting. On the morning of September 5, 1975, President Ford spoke at a breakfast for the Sacramento Chamber of Commerce. Afterwards, he crossed the street and entered the park that surrounded the state capitol, where he was to address the assembly on the topic of crime. A crowd gathered behind a police line to see the president, who waved and shook hands as he passed. Suddenly, a Secret Service agent, Larry Burndorf, saw a woman raise a .45 caliber pistol. He yelled "gun," grabbed the assailant's arm and the pistol, and took her to the ground. That woman was Lynette Squeaky Fromm, and she was convicted of attempting to assassinate the president and was sentenced to life in prison. She was paroled in 2009. And this is kind of interesting. They've got the .45 caliber gun right here. Semi-automatic pistol. During the afternoon of September 22nd, 1975, this is after Fromm, President Ford left the St. Francis Hotel in San Francisco. He had spent the day addressing conventions and meetings with local news reporters. Across the street from his car stood Sarah Jane Moore, an attention-hungry bookkeeper who was involved with a radical group. She raised a .38 caliber revolver and fired a shot, barely missing the president before she could fire again. Oliver Simple, a former Marine, pulled her to the ground as Secret Service agents pushed Ford into the limousine and sped off. Moore received a life sentence for the attempt, and she was paroled in 2007. Now, I want to get as many people to watch this vlog as possible, so with that in mind, a little gratuitous nudity. There you go. And he's watching coverage of his own assassination attempt. But this is kind of wild, the technology at the time. After the 2 assassination attempts in 1975, the Secret Service made the president start wearing this specially made raincoat, and that's a Kevlar lining. So he's basically wearing a bulletproof vest. There's the .45 caliber again from Squeaky Fromm. But you know what? This right here is the indictment cited that Fromm did knowingly and willingly attempt to kill Gerald Ford, and under a new law at the time, she received a maximum sentence of life imprisonment for the attempted assassination. But she was paroled later in 2009. But now this is interesting here. From jail several months later, this is a letter of explanation, handwritten by Sarah Jane Moore, where she says she tried to explain her motives and to tell Ford that she was glad she was unsuccessful in the assassination attempt. Now, where have all the assassins of old gone? You know, the ones today, they probably wouldn't even send an "I'm sorry" note. Well, we've had a great day today at the Gerald R. Ford Museum here in Grand Rapids, and there's really too much to cover in just one vlog, so we're going to come back and do part 2 for the rest of the president's life, and some other interesting stuff here too. Like I said, there's a whole lot more than just the president at the Gerald R. Ford Museum. So there you go. I'm Bryan, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Okay, bye.